I've been enjoying the series on television about Greta Thunberg, A Year to Change the World. I'm finding it educational, thought-provoking, and at times deeply emotional. In the programme, Greta breaks a pattern of conformity and takes a year off school to further explore the science behind global warming, challenging not only people like you and I, but also world leaders to make a difference and to be inspired to take action. Increasingly, we as a society are being challenged to address certain aspects of our traditions and behaviour, to change our way of thinking. Possibly the most recent of these is systemic racism, the embedded cultural attitudes to race that we don't even realise that we have. This is one example, but we could also see patterns that include sexism and abuse. Together, society is taking slow and tenuous steps towards changing our behaviours and learning new ones by not accepting the cultural behaviours that we have done in the past. Learning not to conform but to be independently awakened to a different way of thinking. Talking to our young people in our own community about environmental concern, I was struck by the passion and clarity that they see for the environment and cannot understand why we just don't stop doing what is bad for God's creation. Excuses, reasons such as lack of money, bureaucracy, paperwork make things far more complicated than they need be. Jesus talks a lot about change, and this reminds me of Jesus' challenge to the disciples in Matthew 18, to change and become like children, to become humble. They had to become humble in order to open themselves to new ways of thinking. What are today's cultural norms? In the future, hundreds of years from now, what will people look back at the 21st century and say was unacceptable and abhorrent in the same way that we now view slavery? What will we be remembered for and what will we be condemned for? It is our responsibility to challenge not only ourselves, but those in government and other institutions who have the power to make the biggest difference. Change is almost never easy. Admitting our transgressions and wrongdoings is an acceptance to the process of healing and learning afresh those things that we would rather not be remembered for. We can be reassured in Paul's words to the Romans, "Do not be conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your minds, so that you might discern what is the will of God, what is good, acceptable, and perfect."